Alright, and then I say hello and welcome back to another episode of TENSHI. So, yeah, we seen the ending in the last episode, but we also held the option open to not throw the bottle, and that is something we will do now. I stood there and thought of Q's words, of Mizuki's as well, about time being a river that we travel along, changing whatever was before we could only alter with was ahead right. As confusing as it was, I felt as if for that brief second that if I don't throw the bottle and I didn't cause the place to burn down, then somehow, some way, everything would work out. I set the bottle down, looking at Michelle sternly. I'm not doing this, Michelle. Michelle merely smiled, then picked up the bottle, grabbing a pitcher that was next to her and dropping it in, dousing the flames. I knew I could count on you, Kenji. Now then, when we go through the time window, things will change, so... Kenji, what's wrong? It's just I feel weird and... A sharp pain hit my stomach and swirled through my body. I hunched over and fell to my knees, going faint. The sweat fell down my brow and my ears rang loudly. I could hardly hear Michelle's words as I suddenly blacked out, the world disappearing. With that, Kenji vanished right in front of Michelle's eyes. She merely stood for a moment, mouth agape, then suddenly shook her head, stepping towards the white light that appeared. That wasn't supposed to happen. Michelle was stuck as she stepped back through the time window, traversing back to the time with Q and Rose. She made it back to the lab, sensing their air around her was much more dense than before. Michelle, what's happening? It's a prediction I feared. The time we are currently in is collapsing, so our collective consciousness is also fading. In English, Michelle, we are all slipping into a different flow of time's river. We'll regain a fragment of our memories, but things will be different. Essentially, time itself is trying to fix the paradox we just created, so this timeline where all of us exist with our knowledge is falling apart. So, what does that mean for us? Michelle smirked as she collapsed over. As she did, the clothes of the girls slowly started disintegrating first, as they normally did when they were in a time over their own. We're going home, girls, to a new home that's the same, but so much different. I promise you, everything is going to be And with those words, the world went black. For a moment, reality seemed to be an empty void, like a comatose dream that could never be woken from. But eventually, Kenji's eyes flitted open. Seeing the ceiling of his bedroom, his old bedroom, from his old house. What happened? I feel sick. I leaned over, thinking I might throw up. Holding a trash can in front of my face, I anticipated it, but nothing came. For a while, I just sat there, composing myself as the world stopped spinning. Where was I? Was I home? Was this home? I looked up and down. Yes, that's my old room in my old house. But it never felt old. It was just the place I lived in. Suddenly, there was a knock at my door. I cracked open and a sweet voice rang from the other side. Kenji, you alright in there? Your grandfather wanted you over at his lab in an hour or so. Mom? Yes, dear. You are feeling well? You sound sick. I sat there, a smile crossing my face as tears began to well up in my eyes. I quickly wiped them away. Um, I'm fine, Mom, thank you. So Grandpa Tensai wants me over in his lab in an hour, then? Yes, dear. That's what he told me. Are you sure you're feeling alright? I can call him and... No, no, I mean no, I'm fine, Mom. Can I just... Is Dad home yet? No, dear, he's still working. He has an overtime shift today. He'll be done by 11. What time is it now? Around 6. I was worried with how much you were sleeping today. Alright, I'll be back then. I suddenly lunged forward, embracing her and laughing. Goodness, Kenji, what has gotten into you lately? Oh, just nightmares, I guess. Really, Kenji? You're 18. I'm sure you can handle some bad dreams by now. I pulled away from her and dashed downstairs, making my way down through the door. But before I did, I called up at her. You're right, I can. I'll be back home for dinner. I just gotta get to the lab. I practically did a marathon sprint all the way to the lab, fueled by adrenaline and joy. I made a mad dash to the field where the lab was, which surprisingly wasn't far from where I lived. Had it changed location, or was it always this close? I couldn't remember, nor did I care. Eventually, I made it to the entrance and pressed the call button. A voice rang out from the box. State your business. Grandpa, it's me. Kenji? There was a silence for a moment, but before the elevator dinged, the shuttered doors swiftly sliding open, beckoning me to come inside. I practically jumped inside, pressing the lowest floor button, hopping up and down in my anticipation to see the lab. Finally, it dinged again, sliding open to reveal Q standing at the doorway. Before I could say a word, she tackled me in a hug, laughing and crying at the same time. I'm not going to tell this because... Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you look real. Kenji, we were so worried that something had happened, but at the same time we weren't, and it's just been so confusing for so long, but you're finally here. Yeah, I am. We stared at each other for a moment before Q pulled forward and kissed me, pulling back and smiling. I was a bit stunned, but smiled. This way, the others want to see you too, of course. Q took me by the hand, practically dragging me towards the lab and pushing the doors open. Inside was the whole crew, Michelle, Rose and Tensai. The monitor was even on, showing Mizuki and Bunny in their own time period. So you made it out alive. Michelle walked over to me, thundering with a smirk before placing a hand up on one of my shoulders with a sigh. Good job, kid. You made me proud. Thank you, Michelle. I'm sorry I doubted you. I don't blame you, kid. The plan was crazy, but I believe you made the right choice, all things considered. Now then, I already have another plan on the way. Let me just boot up the time window and I'll set it in motion. Seriously, Michelle, already? Kenji has just got here. He's lucky to still have his memories from the past. I mean, even though they are a little fuzzy, these details may fade, but the important things are there to stay. You only lost a week, so the damage shouldn't be too severe. It's just nice to see you're back, kid. Now then, time window. Kenji doesn't have to join, but I want to see if... Suddenly a spark emitted from the time window. The picture on the screen fuzzed away, losing connection with Mizuki and Bunny. A low hum could be heard, an ominous noise that put me on edge, as well as everybody else in the room, even Michelle. Michelle, what's going on? Before Michelle could answer, the time window burst into a shower of light. Michelle, who was standing closest to the window, screamed as half of her body was engulfed by its embrace. But before it could take her anywhere, the power surge ended, the window suddenly closing shut. Michelle, caught in between our time and whatever time the window is set to, suddenly burst into light with the window itself, screaming at the top of her lungs as it did so. Michelle! Oh gosh, Tensai, do something! Before anyone could do anything, a loud sonic boom knocked everyone over and knocked me out cold. Ooh, my head. I stood, rubbing the back of my sore head. I looked around, seeing Rose and Kyu also coming too. Tensai stood next to me, helping me up as I regained my sense of reality. Grandpa, what? Well, I'm afraid that with every action in time there is a reaction. No, you can't mean. I'm afraid I do. Michelle tampered with time. She tried to take control of it and use it for her own purposes. Good or evil, it didn't matter. I warned her about this and she shrugged it off. But time wanted to be sure that she never interfered again. You're talking about time as if it is essential being and not just a concept, Tensai. Rose slowly stood, blinking harshly so her eyes could adjust to the light. At this point, my dear, I'm not sure what time is. All I know is that I have tampered with it enough for my age. Michelle knew how to use the time window even better than me, so I'm not sure what will happen now.
What about Mizuki and Bunny? What will they do?
They will find a way, I promise you. Why don't you seem shocked at all by this, Tensai? Michelle just died right in front of us. I'm very proud. I'm very proud. I'm very saddened by this, Rose, despite not having the composure of this attitude. She was one of my best engineers and a close friend. But I warned her of her actions.
You're not saying she got what she was coming to her, are you?
That's so cruel. Time is cruel in more ways than I could even imagine. He walked away, heading towards the lab's exit. You may know us, Kenji, but this may very well be the end of our adventures with the time window. No! We all turned and looked at Rose, her hands clenched into fists, tears streaming down her face. Michelle would have wanted us to continue. She would want us to use the time window and resume her legacy, despite the consequences and the risks. I'm not going to give up on this, Tensai, no matter what happens. You've seen the risks firsthand. Yes, and I don't care. Michelle died for this. It wouldn't feel right to just throw it away. Silence fell on the room once more as we stared at her. Tensai let out a deep sigh, saying no more. I walked over to Rose, hugging her as she wept softly. Kyu walked over as well, embracing the two of us warmly. As we stood there, a light emitted from the window yet again. But it was different this time. We turned our heads and looked, and were shocked by what we saw. Well, are you guys ready or what? Okay, so this is the alternative ending. And we all have to wait for Time Tenshi 2, which will be released very soon. Yeah, second ending, definitely the better ending. We lost Michelle, but I don't think she died. She was just pulled into the time window, so I don't think she's dead. Yeah, if you liked it, leave a thumbs up, leave a commentary, and if you don't want to miss any of it, there will definitely be Time Tenshi 2 on this channel as well. So stay tuned, and for tomorrow there will be obviously a new Let's Play, and it will be, I don't know. I mean, I know it, but I don't want to say it now. But it will be a horror game. I'll say that, and I hope that you guys will enjoy it as well and watch it as you just watched Time Tenshi, and before, what did we have? Unicam Studio. So bye for now, your pacemaker, and see you tomorrow.